Now, Tim, you can't do 10 days without seeing a lot of things and talking to a lot of people. So what sort of stories have you got that you're able to tell us?
Look, we were privileged this year in connecting with people, and I'd have to say the previous 4 years joined together had nothing on this year. It didn't even come close. Because I chose to take time off work to make sure that our vigilance was going to be 24 hours a day for the 10 days. And with the help of Neal and Debbie from Holy Fools, we were able to do that.
Yeah.
We had a fire going almost at least 18 hours a day. We had some really wonderful people and a couple of companies too that gave firewood.
And muffins.
And muffins. So certainly Deb made 1 million muffins throughout the week. We had food to be able to feed anyone anytime.
Yeah.
We had coffee, we had tea. You know, we could make sure that if someone came there hungry, they would get fed, or we would make sure that we would feed them accordingly. For the last few years, when I've been explaining about what I've been doing to people, I inevitably get the negativity coming through. I mean, people show their spots straight away, and it really gives me the Jimmy Brits, and people will know what that means in the old terms without swearing on radio. And the reason why it gets my back up is that inevitably you get the comment, it's by choice. Homelessness is by choice. Homelessness is something that, you know, people end up doing because they want to. And the reason why they want to do that is that they don't want to connect with the community or the public. One of the days there last week, we actually ticked all the boxes. Now, ticking all the boxes means going through the full interpretation of homelessness.
Yeah.
And under the Peak Body Homelessness Australia's guise, this is a person may be sleeping rough, a person may be sleeping in a car, a person may be sleeping in a rooming house with no tenure, or a person might be couch surfing. Well, we had a young person that ended up down in a box with us there for a couple of nights because he had no more couches to surf on.
Yeah.
He had nowhere else to go. He was going to meet someone who had disappeared for the night, and he had nowhere else to go.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, we had a person down there that was sleeping rough because he couldn't go back to his rooming house for fear of his life.
Yeah.
Number three, don't ask me how many people sleep in cars. I think at any one time we had 3 or 4. And, of course, we inevitably had people sleeping rough. The fourth component, where we talk about homelessness, we had the whole gamut from A to Z. And on any given night there, we would have had 4 or 5 people with us.
Yeah.
If they weren't with us, we knew they were in other areas of Lilydale. We know because they came to see us and stay with us in the day and go back to their areas where they were at night. You know, we try and understand and we try and compute in our minds everything when it relates to something that we want to learn a little bit more. And the reason why we do that is because we don't understand a subject. Well, I understand fully what we were putting up with there, or what we were attempting to connect with there in the park in the last 10 days, and that was that every sphere of homelessness was there with us.
Yeah.
And I can assure you it was right in our face.
Yes, and none of them had chosen those situations. They would have all preferred to have been in something better, but it just wasn't available.
Just by the word choice, you know, you think, you know, that the person would have to have the capacity to choose, you know. And
homelessness is not by choice.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying, yeah. I mean, where's their capacity to choose? They're broke, you know. They don't have that capacity, you know.
The other gleaming statistic that came forward, that always comes forward, that it's just sort of one thing that makes a person homeless, but not really. There's quite a few very succinct things that obviously happen, and it's a trickle-down effect. One kicks the other one, then kicks the other one, and sooner or later, that's where you are. Yeah. You're at the bottom of the barrel and you're homeless. It doesn't sort of come straight on, and these people, unfortunately, may not have the ability to tie up their bootstraps even one more time, whereas, we might have things that happen in our lives that we can do that.
I've often had homeless people say to me they're surprised to find themselves in that situation. It was only a couple of days ago they were in a house, or life was a little bit more logical, and now they were sleeping in their car. I've had a few people tell me that.
And you had a wide demographic too, young people, old people, male, female.
Oh, yes. You can dispel the myth, Greg. Absolutely. The Darrow sort of old drunken alcoholic, I suppose you can throw in drugs these days. That's just an absolute bunch of baloney. The people that we connected with, as Neil just said quite right a couple of minutes ago, were people that, through no fault of their own, have received quite a few blows, and they've been dealt a few blows, and they've ended up being homeless through sets of circumstances. We looked beyond all of that because, of course, we had a purpose about being there last week. We needed to raise awareness, and we had a small amount of time to do that, virtually 240 hours, if you count the hours. We had to operate by day and by night to make sure that we got that message out there. We've been fairly fortunate because the community exists, and social media was fantastic.
Yes, you actually had a big opening on with people coming along to speak and everything.
We did. Monday the 4th of August. Holy Fools and myself had organised for none other than Les Twentyman to come and speak and open up the launch of Homeless Week. Les, together with Nick Rogers, who is the youth convener for Anchor, and Nick pointed out the survey they're about to undertake in all the secondary schools in the Shire of Yarra Ranges to try and glean where it's happening right at the coalface and where the young people are becoming homeless, and certainly with a view to in the future to put those resources in. It was important for Neal to put forward his understanding of where things are at the moment, because when you've got people like Holy Fools that actually are on the ground, in the park, connecting with the people, that's, the expression I came up with a few days ago, you've got to help the people that are helping the people.
Yeah.
If you think about that for a minute, that's who Holy Fools are. That's who Anchor are. We've got to help the people that help the people. We had many opportunities to do that, and certainly with Les's stories, over 4 decades of stories of where he's connected at the most extreme points of a young person's life, where they may have attempted to take their life, where they've been involved in crime that would involve time, incarceration time, where they have been so estranged from their family that they can't go back to their family. Les is a person who grounds you straight away because he's a no-holds-barred, he's a grassroots speaker, he will talk on factual information even if it appears to be emotional or it's not appropriate. He does it with style, with grace, with respect.
Yeah. And Neil, what do you think Holy Fools was able to get out of all this?
Well, the awareness, I guess, is the biggest thing, because we often come up against people denying there's homelessness in the Shire or even in the eastern suburbs, because it's not as blatantly obvious as it is in the city with people sleeping on the streets. We often come up against people who will deny the existence of it. Awareness has been the primary one. We've done a lot this week with Anchor as well. We helped them out on a couple of days to run some events out the front of their facilities on Main Street, and that was just to create awareness and sort of build up a bit of community spirit too with the people out there. So I guess awareness, some of the links that we've formed, but also again just being able to sort of see the need that I really believe is out there is for somewhere where we can engage these guys on a continual basis. I used to run a drop-in centre for the Salvation Army for that express purpose, and we'd love to see something like that happen again, where these guys can come and the community spirit that was there was amazing, and it's just evident that there's needing for something now where they can gather and have the facilities for, say, showering, doing their clothes and things like that, but also being able to just hang out and not be judged, have the space to just to relax and have somewhere to go to be acknowledged as a human being and not treated as a number or as someone who's outcast.